You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Welcome back, lovely listener. Something I hear all the time from parents is, I just want to stop yelling. And I get that. But when that's the only focus, it can feel like you're constantly trying to control your reactions without really understanding what's driving them. So today, I want to talk about awareness and what that looks like in real life. Awareness is noticing what's happening in you. Most of the time, you'll notice it in your body first. So your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, your shoulders tense. That feeling of pressure building where you can tell you're about to snap, that's awareness. And it's not calm, it's simply information. So let's use a really common example. You're at the playground. Your child is happily playing, no issues at all from their side. You say it's time to leave and they ignore you because they're having a great time. And almost straight away you feel it. That tension in your body, that frustration building. I'm sure you can appreciate what this feels like. Now, where we usually go when that happens is, my child needs to listen. But if you pause for a second and look at what's happening in you, there's usually a need underneath it. Maybe you need to get home to start dinner. Maybe you're running late. Maybe you've already asked a few times and you need things to kind of move along a bit. So in that moment, you have a need. And because that need isn't being met, you also have a problem. Now, your child at this point does not have a problem. They're happy, they're playing, everything's going fine for them. So what's happening here is that you have the problem first. And this is where it can get a little bit confusing because on the surface, it looks like the problem is your child not listening. But underneath that, there are two layers. There's the situation itself, and then there's how strongly it lands for you. And that's the difference between a stressor and a trigger. The stressor is simple. Your child isn't leaving the playground. But if your reaction feels quite strong, like it escalates quickly, that's usually a sign something else is sitting underneath. Maybe you were raised with the expectation that when a parent says something, you have to listen straight away. So this moment doesn't just feel inconvenient, it actually feels frustrating on a deeper level. And not because anything's gone wrong, but because it's hitting something in you. And again, you don't need to analyze it, just noticing for now, okay, this is landing strongly for me. So instead of reacting straight away, you can pause and ask, what's happening in me right now? And the answer might be, I need to leave. I'm feeling rushed. I don't have the capacity to stay longer. And that's awareness doing its job. When you're clear on your need, you can communicate it more clearly. We're leaving now because we need to get home for dinner. Now, it doesn't mean your child will like it, but this is where the shift happens because now it becomes their problem too. They don't want to leave. They're having fun. They're disappointed. So now you have two problems. You want to leave. They want to stay. And your role here isn't to remove the problem. It's to support them through it. I can see you don't want to leave. You're having so much fun, but still holding the boundary. But we are leaving now. You're not dropping your need and you're not ignoring theirs. And if this is something you find tricky, I do go deeper into this in an episode about boundaries, and I'll link this in the show notes for you. You'll see this really clearly in smaller moments too. Like, for example, something gets spilled. So when your child knocks over a glass of milk, let's say, from their perspective, it might not even be a big deal. They're not doing it to annoy you. They're learning, they're experimenting, they're still figuring things out. But in that moment, that's not what you feel first. What you feel is your own capacity being stretched. In you, something happens straight away. Your body tightens, your jaw clenches, your frustration rises. And it's not really about the milk. It's that it's one more thing to clean, one more interruption, one more demand when you're already stretched. Maybe you were already trying to get dinner sorted. Maybe you were already feeling behind. Maybe you just needed things to go smoothly for 5 minutes. Ugh. So when that milk spills, it tips you over. That's not a problem because your need for ease or space or support isn't being met in the moment. And here's what's important to see. On a different day, that same spilt milk might not affect you at all. You'll just clean it up and move on. Same situation, different capacity. And that's where awareness really helps. It helps you understand your reaction instead of judging it. And sometimes this is the light bulb. The moment where you realize, oh, it's not just what my child is doing, it's what's happening in me. And that can feel really empowering, but also a little confronting. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You might start to notice little patterns. You might start to notice certain situations that get under your skin more than others. Certain behaviours that feel bigger than they should. And this is where it's really helpful to understand, again, the difference between a stressor and a trigger. A stressor is something happening in the moment. Your kids are fighting, you're running late, dinner's not ready, everyone's tired, everyone's hungry. A trigger goes a little bit deeper. It's when your reaction feels bigger, stronger, or more intense than the situation itself. It's when something in the present moment connects to something from your past, often without you realizing. And when that happens, it's not just about what's going on in front of you anymore. It's about something that's been sitting underneath for a while. So here's something really simple you can try this week. When you notice that reaction building, that tight chest, that frustration rising, pause for just a moment and ask yourself, is this a stressor or is this landing deeper for me? You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to fix anything. Just noticing the difference can create a little space. And that space is often what changes how you respond. Now, this isn't something you need to fix overnight, but if you do start to notice that something has landed deeply for you, then certain moments feel really activating. I gently invite you to get curious about that. That might look like reading something like Parenting from the Inside Out by Daniel Siegel. He's got a great section in his book where he talks about how you were parented and how that can show up in your parenting. You might like to speak with a therapist or a counsellor, or, just simply beginning to notice your patterns with a bit more awareness and compassion. Because this kind of awareness, this work, this inner work, is what allows you to show up differently over time. And if you're listening to this and thinking, yes, I can see this in myself, but I just don't know quite what to do with it, I want you to know you don't have to figure it out on your own. I offer a free 20-minute clarity call where we can talk through something that's coming up for you in your parenting. I can give you 1 or 2 simple practical steps to help you move forward. It's not about doing everything differently overnight. It's just about finding your next step. You can book by the link in the show notes, and I would love to support you. Now, in our next episode, we're going to gently shift the focus because once we start to understand what's happening in us, the next step is to understand what's happening in our children. we're going to look at behaviour in a completely different way and why your child isn't actually trying to push your buttons, even though it feels like it sometimes. Until next time, my friend, remember, awareness is the first step, and even noticing this is already a powerful shift. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here, and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.